Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, my dear students. How are you? Everything okay? Pakistan School Salala, Grade 4, Subject General Science, Unit 4, Living Things and the Environment. My dear students, today our topic is adaptation in animals. So, what is adaptation? When an animal or plant change to fit in its surrounding, we say it has adapted to its surrounding. So the special body parts that a plant or animal develops to adapt to a particular place or living condition are called adaptation. So in this slide you see that a mosquito mouth is shaped like a needle. Why like a needle? To stab the stem of a plant or the skin of an animal. So mosquito has adapted the mouth shaped. Yes, my dear students, the next example of the adaptation in animals, Anteater. A giant anteater uses its strong claws to open the nest of ants and termites. So its long sticky tongue pick up the insect it eats. So anteater is another example to the adaptation in the environment. So those animals that live in very cold places also adapt according to their environment. The animals that live in very cold places like polar bears, seal and whales have thick fur on their bodies. So they have a thick layer of the fur under their skin. Why they have thick fur under their skin? Because to keep them warm. There is another example of animal that live in very cold places. So one of that example is also seal. So seal have thick fur. So why they have thick fur on their body? Because they have a thick fur of layer under their skin which keep them warm in cold places. A polar bear and whale have also thick fur on their bodies. So these animals are also live in a very cold places. So they have thick fur on their bodies. They have a thick layer of fur under their skin which also keep them warm. So my dear students, here are some other animals that live in a very cold place. So this environment is also very cold. You can see here these animals also have thick fur of layer on their skin to keep them warm. My dear students, now there are some other kind of animals that live in very hot places. So animal that live in very hot places, most animals that live in very hot places like camels, lizards and snakes rest during the daytime and look for the food at night. They can store water in their bodies for a long time. They can close their nostril to keep out sands as well. My dear students, here are some examples of animals that live in very hot places. You can see here the camels. So these camels are animals that live in hot places, and these camels can close their nostril to keep out the sand, and also they can store water in their bodies for a long time. My dear students, so these all are the desert animals that live in very hot places. You can see here, so the lizards are animals that live in desert and hot places. So they can close their nostril to keep out sand and also store water in their bodies. So my dear students, what is animal adaptation? So animal adaptation, when an animal or a plant change to fit its surrounding, we say it has adapted to its surrounding, to its environment. The special body parts that a plant or animal develop to adapt to a particular place or living conditions are called adaptation. So here are some examples of adaptation animals. So animals that live in very hot places, they have adopted their surrounding. My dear students, plants are fitted to live in their surrounding. So plants that grow in very cold places have needle-like leaves. You can see here the needle-like leaves of a pine tree. So these trees make seed inside their cones. Here is the cone. You can see here the brown color cone. In this cone, the seed are present. So pine tree grow in a very cold places and have needle-like leaves. Yes, my dear students, here are some other examples of plants that are fitted to live in their surrounding. So plants that grow in a very hot places. Can you guess this plant, my dear students? Yes, these are the plant which are grow in a hot places. So plant that grow in very hot places have thick fleshy stem which can store water. You can see in this diagram the thick fleshy stem, and their leaves are very tiny. You can see very tiny leaves here. They have very deep roots and they have hard waxy coat. You can see here the green hard waxy coat and thorns for protections. So plants that grow in a very hot places have thick fleshy stem which can store water. My dear students, here are some other example of desert plants. You can see here the plant that grow in very hot places. So these plants have fleshy, thick stem which can store water. Their leaves are very tiny. You can see here the tiny leaves and thick fleshy stem of desert plants, and these plants grow in a very hot places. Yes, my dear students, here are some other type of adaptation in plants. So plants that grow in forest places. These plants have broad leaves and fall off in winter. So plants and trees that grow in forest have broad leaves that fall off in winter. Some plants have a sticky juice or a strong smell so that animal may not cut them. So plants that grow in forest places have broad leaves and fall off in winter. This is according to their adaptation environment. My dear students, now it's time for question answer. Here is the question number 5 in your book. Describe 3 ways in which plants have adapted to their surrounding. So my dear students, you can guess the answer as well. So describe 3 ways in which plants have adapted to their surrounding. So there are the answer. Three parts. Number one, A part. Plants that grow in cold places have thin needle-like leaves. So it is related to the topic question. So B part, plants that grow in hot places have thick fleshy stem that can store water. And number third point, some plants have a sticky juice or a strong smell so that animal may not eat them. So these are the three ways, my dear students, in which plants have adapted to their surrounding. This question is very important. So three ways of adaptation of plants of their surrounding.